Yeah, well, happy holidays to everyone. Michael Wickerson at Wickerson Studios. It's Christmas Day in Kansas, and I'm just leaving C Sharp just for a minute, just to deviate and basically just give a little quick lecture out to my own students about getting lost in Grasshopper, finding something new. And actually, it shouldn't say finding. I think it's a big difference between finding something and discovering something new, which is, it's like mushroom hunting. You go out and think the mushrooms are there on the ground, but you got to turn over leaves to find stuff, and that's a good way to live by it. So what we're going to do is jump in here, and I've got a bake on here, and I've also got another form which is basically being generated right there beside it. And what I've got going on is let's go in and have a look at what's happening. I've got a quad sphere that I've set its diameter or its radius, or both, depending on how you think of it. I'm deconstructing it, and I'm grabbing the edges, and I actually grab the top edge. You can grab any edge you want. Of course, if you wanted to make that indices 0 to 5, you could play around with what indices you want to actually generate those geometries. You can grab the sides if you wanted the top, the bottom, whatever you want. I'll leave it at 0 at the top, and we'll play with it later. I'm going to move it up. And the vector there I extracted by hitting extract. Now, of course, you can internalize and extract it, and then you can take a look at what you have by just hovering over it, and it's 0, 0, 10 as a vector. I'm going to throw it through a polar array, which is nice, in the XZ direction instead of XY direction. And I've got a count on it, so I can change that and alter it, but I think 6 is pretty sweet. Evaluate the surface, which is nice because you can start to evaluate and make this really wonky, but you pull it back to like 5.5 or close to 5.5, it's right in the middle, and you're going to see a standard size. We're going to play with how wonky that is after. I made those vectors visible, so not only is that shape there, as I amplify those vectors, I can see those to know which direction it's going. Start to understand your data visually, and the better you get at this, the better you're going to go. So you got the original forms over here, you got the vectors that are being amplified by it, and you got them moved over in that direction. Nice little way of studying what you're doing. You wrap your head around this type of stuff, you're going to be fine. I'm going to take a surface over here from points. I don't think I did anything with it, but I moved all those points, so I actually could amplify those, move them away from the center, which is kind of nice. Of course, you can change your count and make this crazy detail, but really, I think 3 is enough to make it work. I've got some data trees that are coming out here and breaking them down, and I simplified them. But after simplifying them, I want to know my tree statistics and know exactly my data. So get in the habit of knowing your data by using tree statistics and going into text tags. 3D text tags are pretty awesome. And then what you can do is look at your data, and you obviously have 30 branches going here with 5 items on each. They're rolling around. How can I control those? Understand that they're in tree form and those are lined up in rows. If I draw lines between them, it's pretty cool, but look at the relative items. If I shift from 0 to 1, I'm going to close these off in a really nice form that would be amazing to loft, right? If I move them over in 1 to 0, then they're going to form this form and loft it that way. And if I move them over in 1 to 1, you end up with this really cool intricate form. I don't know which one you want. You got one that's kind of funked out here on the bottom. Actually, I like that middle one the best for some reason right now. Let's take a look at that as data. What did I do? Let's go back. I just botched it. So let's just go back a second. Let's take this wrapped information, put it here. There we go. We've got the lines and we've lofted between them. I really like that form. I'm going to join the BREP, which is pretty interesting because you get these little dimples that appear in the center. Wonderful way to make a ring. Take your data. I don't want the caps. I don't want this stuff, which is those things. I want this stuff. So I want all that juicy stuff. And I want to do a little count and I want to send it through a range. What I can do is I can totally manipulate this by a geometry of moving it around in any direction from negative 2 pi to 2 pi. What a way to control something and make something really beautiful. And if you only made it halfway, you've got a closed form that kind of opens up. Great geometries to make. And then you can go back in and play with all the data. So what was the thing I was thinking about playing with earlier? Count will make it more defined. The amplification is going to move it, make it bigger and smaller as I generate that kind of form. And this is the real wobbly thing. This is what I really like, is going in and generating and having fun with the graph mapper. Once you start to sculpt this way, you've actually gotten through the fundamentals. You learn enough about trees, um, information, and what you can do in here. It gets you thinking of coding and scripting. Now, if I tie this back into some of the algorithms and some of the codes and scripts and iterative, recursive, and fractal formulas I can type in the C# programming or the GH Python node, we can start really informing this with some incredible data. And so I'm just going to throw it out of here, show you the complexities of the whole thing, which is basically here, preview on. You got this whole system of information that's coming in here. And what do you want to grab? What do you want to have control over? Let's go back in and shrink that sucker down. Let's take it through a simpler rotation, even though it's going to show everything. Where was my little 2 rotation? There's data in there. I'll share these files on GitHub. I am looking for people that are interested. Look at that. I can have total control over that and manipulate that in a simple rotation, play with geometries, what I want to do, and then I can go back into those data wonderful offsets of playing with data between the relative items. And relative items are really a nice way of thinking. I think Rai Isa does a great lecture online. Certainly Mode Labs is the one that's taught me most of the information about this. So just having fun, rotating, playing with it, changing it, going back to the this form. Usually once you get your whole script, wandering off, literally getting lost and discovering something new. What do you end up at the end of your path of life? And there it is. You get this wonderful little form there that's in orange, and then I can go off and I can play with it. And what I love is that jiggle jaggle form of playing intuitively with the graph mapper. It's a lot of information, but that's what keeps me going in Grasshopper. Is this just a fun way of playfully generating geometries and working. I never thought I'd be sculpting in a CAD program this kind of programmatic way. So I hope you enjoyed it. Hope I don't race this video like I did the first time I did it. Have a great holiday into the New Year's, and please take a look at all the wonderful groups that have started to come online with developers, the GH Python closed face up private Facebook group, and the C# one. And I will keep going, keep learning, and I wish you all the best. And I wish life is about figuring it out. All right, thanks.